Hey guys, so we are back again with another reading, and this one is all about what are you leaving behind. So, we're going to see what cycles are ending in your life and the new cycles you're stepping into, the new things you are welcoming in, and the stuff you're leaving behind. So, this is going to get really deep, and I'm really excited to see what Spirit has to say for you guys. I also want to mention that I do have my Patreon with lots of cool videos going up all the time. So definitely check that out if you guys want to join us over there. The link is in my bio for that. Now, with that being said, today we do have a traditional pick a card for you guys, and I will show you guys the numbers of each of the card piles. So this is pile number 1, pile number 2, number 3, and number 4. So maybe one is already sticking out to you, and if it is, at any point you can switch forward to that point. You can find the timestamps down in my bio, and if you guys need more time to decide, you can always feel free to rewind, pause, take as much time as you need to make up your mind, but we are going to go ahead and jump into pile 1. Hey, pile 1. So for your tarot, you guys got the 10 of Cups reversed, Hierophant, Six of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, and the King of Wands. So a message I'm getting for you guys is that some of you guys may be leaving behind like a toxic family situation, or it may even be trauma that you got from family. I'm almost feeling like some of you guys, or somehow in childhood or something like that, I'm almost feeling like some of you guys might have had narcissistic parents or parents that didn't validate you, didn't encourage you, and that might have made an effect on you guys. It could also be a situation where anyone is controlling you with money. So it might not be parents, it could be a boss or a partner or something like that. But with the Six of Pentacles in there, I'm really getting a vibe for a lot of you guys that there was someone who, tried to make you feel like you were less than and they were more than you. They had the power in some way. This could have been financially, or it could have just been their attitude towards you, invalidating you, making you feel dumb. Maybe when you talk to them, they make you feel like you're kind of stupid, or like, oh, I can't believe you said that. Or they make little passive aggressive comments like, oh, wow, did you stop working out? You used to be so fit, or something. You know what I mean? Like weird little comments that you're like, well, technically they didn't insult me. Maybe they follow it up with like, no, you look good, but you know what I mean? They're trying to get in your head and make you feel bad about yourself. With the wise counselor, aka the Hierophant, coming out, it could even be like from church or from a spiritual counselor or something like that. And I feel like a lot of you guys have had to kind of subdue your emotions. I think a lot of times when you're dealing with a toxic person, in my opinion, there's an emphasis a lot of times on like, you can't get too emotional, because if you do, if you call them out and you're like, you know what, you saying that was really messed up, by the way, they'll be like, oh, they're going crazy. Oh, I didn't know you were so sensitive. Oh my God, wow. Oh, you're really taking it hard. And you're like, well, you intended it. I know you're saying it passive aggressively, but I know how you intended it was mean. And it's almost like you had to control your tongue, or you had to go into Queen of Swords, which is a very unemotional energy, to deal with this person. You had to just kind of stuff your emotions down and put them away. In this situation, somehow you always had to kind of just present this very emotionless, kind of overly logical, because if you were to like lose your temper with them or get really upset, then they would twist that around and blame that on you. That's just something I'm channeling with these cards. And so I also pulled cards for your past energy and your future energy. And we got the Nine of Cups, the Chariot reversed, and the Devil for your past. So that just kind of confirmed that for me. I'm feeling like some of you guys, you might have even had alcohol or drugs or something where you use substances, or just any kind of addiction. You can get addicted to like clothes, or, shopping, or the internet, or literally anything. Food can be an addiction. Anything that allows us to not be focused on this reality. And the Nine of Cups can sometimes talk about indulging too much in like the pleasures of life. And kind of escaping reality. That's kind of the bad side of cups energy. And I feel like with you guys, maybe there was a way that you allowed yourself to deal with this untenable situation by taking yourself out of reality. It might not even have been drinking. It might have been just that you weren't emotionally fully present. You know what I mean? You would just distract yourself, or you would pretend like everything was okay. And there may have been situations that weren't moving forward in your life. Maybe with the 10 of cups reverse, some of you guys were like, oh, I want to be married by now. I want to have a family by now. Or maybe you tried to start a family with this person and you're like, why is there so much tension in this family? Or why are my children acting up? Or something not turning out the way you wanted. With the chariot coming out reverse, it's like maybe there was some kind of a goal you guys had to achieve at this point in your life that just didn't happen, didn't move forward in the way you wanted. And the devil can definitely talk about addiction as well. So a strong kind of addiction energy. And I always think like it's not even about the substance, it's about being disconnected from reality. It's about using whatever it is, because it could be literally anything, to distract ourselves from what's going on and remove ourselves from being present in the moment. And so I feel like a lot of you guys had to do that as an adapting strategy to deal with this dysfunctional situation. It's like you weren't really in a safe place where you could be like fully emotionally vulnerable with yourself and really open up of like, I'm really I'm really upset about this. This was not the kind of person, whoever this is. I feel like for a lot of you it's family, with the 10 of cups coming out off the top, but it could be anything. But a situation where you couldn't come out and be like, you know what, I'm honestly, I've been so stressed, or like, it really upset me when you said this, and I know you didn't mean it that way, but just in the future. And have them take that and be like, oh, of course, I understand. Or, well, I hear what you're saying, I disagree because of this. It was never like an acceptable thing for you to be honest with your feelings. You know what I mean? It was like, if you were to be honest, I feel like they would twist it around and use it against you or something. So you intuitively knew that. So you were like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be honest about how I'm feeling. So a lot of you guys just tried to like deal with an untenable situation by distracting yourselves. And I see you guys leaving that behind in the past. And I see you guys moving into a place where you're much more in touch with yourself. And it's almost like I feel like there's a message from spirit that some of it might even involve a little bit of hard work, but I feel like you're going to like that. Like with the 2 of swords, maybe there's things you guys have been distracting yourself from, decisions you have to make, or situations that you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to have to see it. But it's like, you're going to be more involved in life. You're going to be taking that role in life of like actively steering your destiny and being empowered. And we do have the Queen of Wands coming in, and she's a really interesting queen card because she's definitely the most sexual of the queen cards. She has her legs open in the tarot. And I always associate the Wands energy, fire energy, with just being very involved in life, just being very emotionally present and feeling everything. You know what I mean? In a different way from the water cups, because the cups is a lot more chill, is a lot more relaxed. The wand is kind of more reactive, more fire energy, more quick to say their feelings, say their thoughts, And I feel like with you guys, it's like you're going to be more invigorated with life. You're going to be actually feeling capable of being honest with others and with yourself about like, actually, I feel this way. Or you don't even have to double guess it or think it through. Because I often associate fire energy with just acting, not even thinking about it, not overthinking and being like, well, I should say this, I shouldn't. Like in Aries, it's just going to tell you what they think. They're not going to think it through a million times. So I see you guys being much more honest with yourselves and with others and like involved in life. You know what I mean? You're not holding yourself back or having to kind of dissociate. You're being very like just immersed with like, oh, this strawberry tastes amazing. Oh, I love this feeling of the sun on my skin. Oh, this smells so good. This flower smells so good. It's like you're just in life. You know what I mean? You're not holding yourself away from life. And I actually feel like for a lot of you guys, it's going to lead to the 2 of cups. So if you guys have wanted a relationship, but you haven't been able to manifest that yet, maybe you've been like, trying to make it happen and you're like, why do all my relationships end? It's like dealing with this energy is going to lead you to that relationship, that soulmate. space in your life, because I often find people that come from narcissistic families or from kind of destructive parents, especially narcissistic parents though, because narcissistic parents tend to want all the attention on them, right? So if they have a daughter who brings home a boyfriend and she's very immersed and focused on him in a normal way that like happens when you're in a relationship, they'll get triggered by that and, start a fight, start an argument. And she just kind of can become conditioned and learn that, like, okay, if I bring my boyfriend around, it's going to cause problems. I'm just going to be single for a while. I'm going to break up with him. And she might not even consciously decide that, but she might not have the emotional wherewithal to focus everything on the relationship, right? Because she's so immersed with the family structure. She's so distracted by dealing with like dad's moods or mom getting upset about XYZ thing happening in her career, and she like the child becomes the helper to the parent. Kind of, some of you guys might have taken on that role of the hierophant, the counselor for your parents, because I see that a lot too in these kinds of family structures. So I'm just getting that message for some of you guys. It's very specific, so I'm sure, I don't know how it's going to appear in all of your guys' lives, but I often find empaths end up taking on the role of like the guide to parents, and then they carry on that role throughout life in other relationships. So they might have a dysfunctional boss that everyone else would leave, and everyone else is like, how do you deal with them? They're so toxic. And they're like, oh, like it's not a big deal. And they end up like chatting with their boss through lunch hour and giving them advice. And it's a very codependent relationship. They don't have those boundaries of like, actually, I don't feel like talking you through all your problems. And actually, I don't want to talk to you for the millionth time about how your husband isn't treating you right, but you're never going to leave him. And you know what I mean? But they end up being like this counselor to everyone. And so a lot of times those people, they don't have the space, the energy, the mental like wherewithal to focus on themselves because they're giving so much to others. So I see you guys leaving that energy behind and more turning it inward of like, what do I want to change about my life? With the Two of Swords, you guys might have been distracting yourselves from like serious things you need to take care of. I'm hearing taxes. Maybe some of you guys need to do your taxes. I know we're coming into tax season. And so maybe you guys need to pay attention to financial stuff, or maybe there's some other issue in your life that some of you guys are just kind of distracting yourself and pretending isn't happening. And it's like, once you're not so distracted by this work of kind of helping everyone else and guiding them and giving them free therapy is what I call it. I feel like you guys are going to have this space in your life to focus on like, I like this, I want that. This feels good to me. I think some of that is just like the growth for an adult who grew up in that family structure where they never got to really decide things for themselves, that sometimes they might not even have any taste. And by that, I mean, they might not even know what they like. Like they might be like, I don't know, they're so dissociated. It would never occur to them to like think about like, oh, this is my interior decorating style, or this is the food I like, because everything runs on the ship of what the narcissistic parent likes or what the domineering parent likes. So they just are like, oh yeah, this is just how I eat because that's how I grew up. But maybe they hate that kind of food. Maybe they really like really spicy food and they grew up eating bland food, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's like finding your own taste. I feel like that's a big thing. So guys, my camera randomly cut out while I was filming, so I'm not sure where it left off, but as I was saying, I just feel like for a lot of you guys, this is about discovering your likes and your dislikes and just those things that make you feel good. With the Queen of Wands, she's very much in her body. That's why she's the most sexual of the Queen cards, is because she's very aware of like that feels good and that doesn't feel good on like a sensual level. And she, leads with that. She's not having like an out of body, just very cerebral experience. She's very much rooted in her body and her instincts, because like I said, fire energy decides quick. It's not someone that overthinks and is very cerebral. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is about leaning into like, this is what makes me feel good. I enjoy this, and not listening to that voice inside your head that might be like, oh, that's so stupid. Or like, of course you enjoy that. Well, you've always been XYZ. You know what I mean? So like the negative voices is, I feel like, fading away. And I do feel like that's going to lead you to this Queen of Cups, Two of Cups energy, where you are linked up with your kind of soulmate and this relationship that a lot of you guys want, this very deep relationship. It might not even be romantic. It could be another kind of partnership. But honestly, for a lot of you guys, I feel like it might be romantic. And maybe you're like, why haven't I been able to find my person yet? What's going on? Sometimes we got to work through family trauma, especially when we have that in our past. So for a lot of you guys, it might be even deepening a relationship or having that relationship come in and really being able to maintain it, having the emotional coping skills to like be with them, emotionally present. Because I think sometimes people with trauma too, like they're just so dissociated most of the time that it's like they're with you in the room, but they might as well be in like Timbuktu because, they're just not present. So you guys are going to be able to be more emotionally present. So I hope that made sense for a lot of you guys. I was just channeling with all these cards. So let's get more cards for you guys. So we got worry, judgment, forgiveness reversed, acceptance, and purpose. And I think it's so interesting that forgiveness came out reversed, because I think a message coming through is, for you guys, it may not be about repairing these relationships. It may not be about you patching things up. And maybe that has been an intention of yours in the past, is like, let me level myself up spiritually so that I can deal with these people. You know what I mean? So that I can have this happy family. And that's just not how it works. When someone becomes so out of alignment with us, when we level up and become in a really positive place, and there's someone in a really negative space themselves, our spirit guides don't want to keep us with that. If anything, they're going to, extricate us from it. They're going to be like, okay, that's done. They don't want us hanging around with someone that's putting us in a very low vibrational place. And if this person was really judgmental to you or added a lot of mental stress to you all the time, I feel like I'm hearing in the back of my mind. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, this was always in the back of your mind. This was always something that weighed on you, like these people, their thoughts, their opinions, how they feel about you, how they talk to you, and you not feeling accepted by them. And I feel like you guys may be stepping into your life purpose, your life destiny, because I think a lot of times when people have a destiny moment or they're gonna step into their destiny, they get very afraid of the judgment of others. I've seen that with so many people in my private readings where, I'll be like, wow, you'd be really good at this. And they're like, yeah, I've always wanted to do that. And I'm like, well, this is your confirmation. Like, let's do it. Let me give you some tips to, let's see what the tarot says or whatever. And they're like, oh, I could never, because people would judge me. People would think I'm weird. And that's a huge thing you kind of have to get over to step into your destiny, is like, I don't care if people judge me, whatever, judge away. And sometimes, especially when someone's been surrounded by judgmental people who are putting negativity on them, who always see the worst in them, they just assume everyone's going to be like that, or that they just hear those negative voices in their head so loud. And that's why it's really important to just get yourself kind of away from that. And not have that presence in your life, because chances are they're not going to change, right? Some people do change, right? Miracles happen. But I feel like for a lot of times, there's going to be people you might have to put boundaries up with. Maybe they ask you like, well, how's your career going? And they're going to say something negative no matter what you do. You could be like, oh, well, I won the Nobel Prize. And they would still say something snarky. Or they'd be like, oh, really? Well, you're big for your britches now. You forgot us. They'd always find something negative to say. So it's about sometimes putting up a little bit of boundaries, like, I'm not really going to tell you what's going on, and just being like, it's good, everything's really good, or don't talk to them. You know what I mean? So for some of you guys, having these people be left in the past or working through your traumas with them and learning coping skills of like, I'm not going to take this on, and they can be negative, but I refuse to accept it, is going to like lead you to your purpose and be this final kind of thing that had been standing in the way of your purpose. And now it's falling over, it's gone. So for a lot of you guys, I think this is about removing yourselves from the judgmental people in your life, or the people that want to dim your light and want to bring you down. And I feel like, again, in narcissistic families, there's a lot of people who get threatened by that person who's kind of the chain breaker, who's going to stop the dysfunction, is going to leave it behind and enter success. A lot of people become attached to their stories that they tell themselves about lack of success, right? Like a lot of people become kind of mired to like I've been done so wrong by the world, this was so unfair. This is so awful. And it's funny if you have anyone like that in your life that they will like repeat to you the same story, like tell you this story over and over again about like the one person that screwed them over or this person who did them wrong, to the point where sometimes you're like, I've heard this story like 100 times. Like I really know every detail, and it's because people become attached to those stories. They get emotionally drawn into that. And it's easier to talk about like, yeah, I was gonna win, but I didn't win, but I would have, over and over. That's a lot easier than actually putting yourself out there, going for the prize, having to work hard. And that's something I sense for a lot of you guys is maybe you have kept yourself, maybe even adapted a little bit of that yourself, where like you're just like, I'm just going to keep myself distracted from this. I'm just not going to deal with it right now. Maybe I'm just going to kind of chill, drink, have fun, whatever, and not fully focus on like my life's mission, because it's hard to deal with your life's mission. That means hard decisions, right? That means putting yourself out there in the arena in a really difficult way. So I see you guys really ending this dysfunction, and really, like I said, I keep hearing chain breaker. So ending something that maybe is a family line thing. I want to do an ancestor reading soon, and it's like I'm getting ancestor vibes. Like, should this have been an ancestor reading? Because I feel like a lot of you guys are ending some ancestral thing where over and over this pattern has been repeated somehow. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I think a lot of you guys are stepping into your purpose. So we got waterfall, effortless, meadow, vulnerability, and love, compassion. I love the image of that meadow. It just feels so beautiful. And I said it earlier in the reading, stepping into the sunlight and smelling the flowers. And then we have that picture and it's just bringing that to mind. I feel like in a way, what I was just talking about with making an effort or things being hard, waterfall, effortless brings that to my mind. Like some of you guys, and I never mean to be harsh in my readings, but I am a third house Aries, so sometimes it just comes out. Some of you guys have been, to kind of taking the easy way out, I want to say, or like doing things a little bit easier than it could. Like maybe, it's like you could have been pushing at something a little bit harder, but you just kind of ignore it, and a lot of times that's a trauma kind of thing, is like procrastinating or letting situations get totally out of control, in your life. Like, oh my God, I actually owe X amount of money to X company, and it's like you could have taken care of it earlier, but you forgot, or you didn't want to pay attention, or you were hoping it would go away. Or like, I love the show Hoarders. I watch that show so much, and I hardly watch TV, but if I watch TV, a lot of times it's old episodes of Hoarders or Hoarding Buried Alive, because it's fascinating to me how people can live in like a completely trash filled house and be like, well, it's a lovely kitchen, there's really cute detailing on the wall baseboard, it's a really pretty stencil design, I made it myself 30 years ago, and you're like, excuse me, there's a wall of trash covering it, literally. But I think to me it's fascinating because it shows how people can kind of become a little bit delusional, or like go into too much Neptune energy, which is kind of what's coming up for me with all this 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups reverse, like that is like maybe someone that is getting themselves into too much of a like, everything's fine, I'm just going to drift off into dreamland, when it's like, just clean it up, just deal with it, just face it head on, make those hard decisions, and it's probably going to be a lot easier than you realize. Probably not going to be as hard. Most of the time when they clean up the hoarders houses, sometimes they have to bulldoze them, but a lot of times when they clean it up, it's like beautiful, and maybe it doesn't look perfectly good as new, but it looks really close, it looks really good. If you didn't know, you might walk in and be like, oh, it's a nice house, it's not spotlessly pristine, maybe there's some weird little kind of dirt marks on the walls, but it looks pretty clean, you know what I mean? They can really make it clean. And it's like, if we just take that effort and we're willing to put the effort into our lives, we can fix whatever it is. We don't need to run away from our problems. And some of you guys might have issues with procrastination or letting things get too messy, or and all of that stuff can be dealt with. You just have to put your, kind of, I don't really like this saying, but it's coming to mind of like, put your big girl pants on, which, yeah, I hate that saying, but just face it, just deal with it. Just get up, deal with it and move on and fix whatever it is. And 90% of the time, it's not as hard as you think, right? Sometimes I think a great exercise for this is telling yourself, like, I'm going to do 2 minutes of it and then I'll stop, and sticking to it. Even if after 2 minutes you're like, I could keep going, like, just be like, well, we're stopping for now and then we'll pick it up tomorrow. Like, if you have really bad procrastination, obviously, if you're like good with it, you could continue if you really want to. But like, I think so much of the time people just get so terrified of taking that first step and the effort it will involve. And I see you guys really overcoming this and becoming in a much more emotionally raw place in your life. Because I often think, like, this is getting into a lot of deep topics, but people become attached to things like clutter. Because, you know, I watch that show and I love to overthink it, and get down deep into it. But I think that, not literally, because those houses are horrific looking, but just mentally, because it's like, I think that sometimes people become attached to their clutter or their trash because it's a coping mechanism. Because it's almost like, if you were a hoarder and you had this hoarding house and you cleaned it, what else do you have to worry about, right? Instead of dealing with your real problems, like your childhood trauma or whatever trauma that's causing you to act so dysfunctionally, it's easier to focus on, like, I know I need to clean it. I know it's a mess. Oh, I know I'm going to clean. Oh God. And that's all anyone's going to focus on. They're not going to focus on the fact that you have serious trauma because of some event in your life. They're not going to pay attention to that deep emotional truth that needs to come out. So sometimes people can kind of distract themselves and others by creating little problems that are actually easier to deal with. Because, like, let's be real, as hard as it can be sometimes with money, and I'm not making light of that, but it's easier to pay off a bill that's like a, maybe even a big bill. Maybe it's $1,000 or something, but it's easier to pay that off than it is to deal with, you have trauma because your mom left when you were 5 years old and you have a fear of abandonment. That's a lot more difficult to untangle, right? That's going to take a lot more effort. But it's like, that's the thing, is when we stop running and we just face it and we handle it head on, we can have so much view. It's like, oh, that's not even as hard as I thought. So I have trauma from my mom leaving. Okay, once you know what it is and you can identify it, and every time that feeling comes up of fear of abandonment, then you're like, oh, I know what this is. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to sabotage my relationship because my mom left. You know what I mean? And now I know how to handle it. So I just think, not to get too deep, this is turning into like a serious psychology session, but I just think a lot of you guys are going to be moving past this in a positive way, facing your problems head on. I really recommend this book, Women, Food, and God, which is kind of about women's issues with eating, but it's really an interesting book. I saw it on Oprah a long time ago, but then it's a really good book to read to get, a whole holistic idea of, like, facing your problems. So I would recommend that, not just for like food issues at all, but just for like life. It's a really interesting book. And I see that you guys have this room in your life for relationships, for the kind of love you guys have been wanting to bring in. So we also got infinite abundance. Abundance is pouring into your life. Great adventure. Take a risk, venture forward. And gates of triumph. Success expands in your life. So it's almost like, once you guys make these changes and you're willing to venture forward, because to me this card brings up the idea of, like, being involved in life. And that was kind of what I was telling you with the Queen of Wands. She's very bold. She's very unafraid. She doesn't overthink things, over intellectualize them. That can be another way of coping, is like, instead of actually feeling the feelings of, like, I'm so hurt from a situation, being like, I'm feeling upset because blah, blah, blah. And go, really like taking it apart in a million different ways, when it's like, just feel the emotions, just let yourself feel it. You know what I mean? And so I feel like a lot of you guys, you're going to be involved in life. You're going to be feeling everything. You might feel raw at first when you're not used to this. It might be like, oh, these feelings are painful. For anyone dealing with that, I highly recommend taking spiritual baths, because sometimes you have trauma from your childhood, and that can literally kind of be detoxed through these spiritual baths. Negative energy is detoxed that way. So, if you have negative attachments and stuff from childhood or whatever, you can take that and kind of drain it out of you during a spiritual bath. So my ritual is just taking Epsom salt, putting that in the water, and saying Psalm 23 over it 3 times. And that's what I do, but you guys can, there's different ways to do it, and then imagining any dark energy, any black energy just seeping out of your body and down the drain for the bath. And so I feel like a lot of you guys are doing very deep healing work. You're transmuting some pain, some deep issues that have been going on, like I said, even generationally, like a long, long time. For a lot of you guys, it was from your childhood, but for some of you guys, it goes way back, generations. But as an end result, I'm seeing you guys being able to manifest whatever you want, having triumph in your life, having a lot of money, having this beautiful success. And again, for a lot of you guys, I feel this has to do with your life purpose, your life destiny, something that only you guys can bring forth into this world. So know that any pain you guys are confronting, because I think the metaphor that comes to mind for me whenever you're dealing with trauma or shadow work, as a lot of spiritual people call it, is whenever I got, cut a knee or skinned a knee growing up, my mom would take out, I don't know what it's called, but it's like red ointment, and it burned so bad. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but it was bright red, and it would go on your cut, directly on the cut, and it would burn like so horribly. And a lot of times it hurt a million times worse than the actual cut. So as soon as it goes on, you're like screaming, you're like, oh my gosh, ow, it hurts so much. And you're like, why is this pain coming up? But that's how you disinfect it, right? And then it actually passes over after a couple seconds. And what's usually amazing is whenever you do this trauma work, bringing up stuff that happened to you as a child, processing it, and then moving on, is like it does bring forth an initial burst of pain, but you'll be surprised by how easily it passes. If you just let yourself feel it, you just acknowledge it, it's like, oh, this thing I've been running from, or this thing I've been trying to repress and push down, it's actually really not that bad. I can handle it so much easier than I thought. So I see a lot of you guys as being able to just deal with this so easily and having the kind of success and abundance you want as a result. And so let me get some final astro dice. So we got Saturn, we got the first house, and we got Pisces. That makes a lot of sense because I was tapping into that Neptune energy earlier, the downside for Neptune of being a little bit too much of an escapist and not paying attention to the reality of what's going on in your life in the deep ways. Saturn is all about those hard lessons, and it can also relate to trauma and stuff like that. And I see a lot of you guys that's what this is about. But once we deal with the trauma, we deal with the hard lessons, then we can move on to the blessings. And first house, that has to do with Aries. And as I was saying, Aries is more instantly reactive, involved in life. And that's the energy I see you guys stepping into, is like, I'm not cutting myself off from my feelings anymore. I'm not being out of body. I'm very much in the moment. I'm very present, and I'm feeling everything very strongly. First house also has to do with the self. And so this is about your own self glow up that has nothing to do with your family. I mean, of course it has to do with them and however they raised you, but like, don't let anyone make you feel guilty about like, why are you dredging this back up? Or you're being so negative to the family. We tried our best. Okay, but you need to get your own healing. So this is about you welcoming in healing for yourself. And also 12th house is hidden things. So this might be pulling stuff up from the past that you pushed down, repressed, those hidden things that we don't like to deal with or talk about. But I see it being so positive for you guys, and you guys having so much success, 10th house energy, success, achievement, abundance, and public recognition as a result, and the kind of relationships you want. So lean into this, accept this, because this is going to be a key part of you manifesting the relationships you want, the life you want, and this beautiful future for you guys. So I'm sending you guys so much love, pile one. I hope you guys have an amazing day. You definitely deserve it. And I see you guys having amazing stuff. So I'm so happy for you. So make sure to give it a thumbs up if it resonated, and let me know in the comments. I'm very curious about this pile. So let me know. And also, if you want to check out my Patreon, I have additional readings over there. So check that out and join us over there if you want. And make sure you're subscribed over here with notifications on to see more of my videos. I'm sending you guys lots of love and light. Have an amazing day, guys. Bye. Hey, pile two. So for your tarot, you guys got the Chariot, Page of Pentacles, Strength, Two of Pentacles, and the Six of Cups. So this is a really interesting energy. It's pretty complex, but I'll try to explain it quickly. I feel like a lot of you guys, you might have been working on something, but it's almost like your guides might be saying that maybe this isn't exactly what you guys wanted. The Chariot and the Strength are both really complicated major arcana cards that have a lot of similarities, and they can talk about having something kind of deep in your subconscious that you might either not be looking at or that you should be using to fuel your energies. So, the Chariot can talk about kind of sheer will, force of will. Like when you're just pushing at something so hard and you're just pushing as hard as you can against something and trying your best and using your sheer determination and strength to push it forward. And it usually does mean that you are going to succeed in that. But sometimes it can talk about things being kind of hidden under the surface, our subconscious, deep in kind of our deep mind that we wouldn't bring forward into our conscious thought that may even be better for us than that thing we're working on. And with the strength card, that can talk about using the subconscious or our deep hidden desires to fuel that thing that we're working on. And honestly, what's coming to mind with me, combining it with the Two of Pentacles, might be that some of you guys are pushing really hard on something that you're trying to make work, but maybe it's not what you really, really want. Maybe if you guys did a deep, deep dive into your subconscious, into maybe even your childhood stuff, like your childhood dreams, you'd be like, I don't know if this is what I want. Maybe you're in a career or a profession that right now you're like, I want success, I want to succeed. But if you really look deep down into it, maybe there's something else that you'd be better suited it for. Maybe there's something that would make your heart sing in a much deeper way. The page can kind of talk about rushing forward into something without giving it a lot of deep thought. And with the Page of Pentacles, that can be something where we're not looking too deep into it, where it's a very youthful energy, a very enthusiastic energy. And sometimes it's like, maybe there's something you guys should investigate about this. Maybe you're trying hard for something and it might not be the ultimate thing for you. Maybe there's something better that you guys are going to like even more, but you're putting so much energy into this. And I feel like Spirit is saying for some of you guys, either there's a refinement in how you approach this. So maybe you are on the right path and this is what you guys are going to continue doing and you're not leaving this career path behind, but maybe there's a different way to do it. Like with the Nine of Wands, maybe you guys are feeling really overwhelmed and tired and exhausted. And it's like, ooh, maybe time to take a little bit of a break and see what really fulfills you and really what speaks to you. Maybe it's actually time to leave certain situations behind if they're not budging, or maybe it's time to fix, like, how do I look at this? Maybe there's something you're trying to kind of see it on the bright side and look at it in a really positive way. It might even have to do with something from your past, because the Six of Cups can talk about an unhealthy attachment to the past. And actually, when it's reversed, it's a more positive card because it can talk about stepping forward into like something new, something fresh, and looking to the future more. So there may be something that you're like trying to make happen. And if you really dug down deep into your subconscious, you would realize that you're trying to make it happen for someone else. Maybe it's to appease your family or to appease someone from your past somehow. I don't know. It's like an old relationship or a friend or just people in general. Maybe it's like you're trying to be a doctor because you know it gets a lot of respect, but maybe you love working on furniture and you love to build wooden furniture from scratch. Maybe that would be better for you. And you're pushing yourself so hard to the point of exhaustion. And it's like, will you succeed? Yes, you will. But maybe there's something better that would stir you even more. I'm getting for some of this pile, just channeling, that maybe there's some of you guys that you don't even know really what you want to work on. Like maybe you guys have been asking your guides for abundance, for money, for success, but you don't know what you want to do. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, I just hope something works out. Maybe something will occur to me that I want to do. And I feel like for some of you guys, this is about you doing the work to delve down deep into your subconscious and see what it is that is really stirring your heart. With the High Priestess coming out for the energy you're stepping into, I feel like a lot of you guys are going to get like some psychic downloads or go down deep into the waters of your mind. Into that deep subconscious, because water is unconscious energy. It's the passive energy. It's subconscious. It's emotional and very deep, like history in someone's head. You know what I mean? Um, so for some of you guys, you may be delving down deep into things from your past. Like maybe you were good at something as a kid, but you were like, I could never monetize that. I could never make that a career. Or maybe, you wanted to do it, but then you're afraid of other people's judgment. Maybe you have people around you that would think it's really lame, or that you kind of have a narrative in your mind of like, oh gosh, that's embarrassing. If I ever tried to do that, like I'd be so embarrassed. People who try to do that are cringy or something like that. Because I feel like one of the most important things is trying to remove those blocks and figure out what it is that you guys have as the biggest, best desire for yourself. What really makes your heart sing. And a lot of times we unlearn that in childhood. Maybe that's why childhood is coming up for you guys. Um, we have, like, maybe you say like, oh, I want to be an actress, and then everyone at your school is like, oh my god, that's so cringe, like acting is so lame, you want to be the center of attention. Or you have family that's like, oh, like, you think you're going to be a star, oh, you're always wanted to be the center of attention, or something like that, and put a negative spin on it, and we push it down until we can't even hear it ourselves anymore, and we might adapt something even as a coping mechanism, personality as a coping mechanism, like, oh, I'm shy and I hate attention, but do you really? Or do you actually want attention, but someone in your life made it seem like it was embarrassing to want attention? You know what I mean? And with the Chariot, or excuse me, not with the Chariot, but with the Strength card, the Lion is associated with both sulfur and gold, which are the two lowest and highest elements. So the gold, obviously gold is at the top, sulfur is at the very bottom. And so it's kind of about taking those things from the subconscious that maybe not so great at first. Like maybe there is an embarrassing aspect to it, right? Maybe there's a part of you that does think about it and you're like, oh, this is lame that I want this. Or maybe you feel like other people would judge it, or other people would say that it's weird, or whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe, like, I feel like sometimes in spirituality we can have this idea of like you're only supposed to want certain things, like oh, you should never want money, and you should never want any attention, and you should never want to look good, oh, so you need to make sure you're never wearing any makeup, and you should make sure you're not taking money, because then you're not a spiritual person. And so maybe money is something that's not maybe the highest possible divine thing, but it makes your life a lot better. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, going after money, but maybe someone does have a negative association with it, and about reconciling those two things. And that's literally how alchemy works, is taking two different elements, as we see in the Temperance card, and combining them. So maybe there is something beautiful you have to offer the world, and maybe there's a part of it that's not so great. Maybe God gave you a desire to be in the spotlight that's kind of, maybe it is embarrassing, but like, we can combine it with the fact that you want to help others, and it turns into a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like this part of you guys are going to have to do this work of dredging down. I'm seeing, like, how sometimes this is kind of grim, but like I watch Dateline and it's like one of the only TV shows I watch. And sometimes if they have something that gets lost in a lake or a river or something, they will drain it and then dredge it. So see if they can find like a body, which is really dark, or, a lost possession that was important, or even like a car that, fell to the bottom of a lake or something. So they'll take the lake and drain it of water and then dredge it. And that's what's coming to my mind for some of you guys, is it's like you have to go through your own subconscious and try to pull up what that is, because obviously this is a general reading. I can't speak to your heart and the deepest desires that only you have. Those were given to you guys for a reason by God. So for some of you guys, this is about pulling down your subconscious, going deep down into it. And maybe you guys are keeping yourself distracted right now with the Two of Pentacles, kind of juggling work and like, I hope I do really well at this. But is that your ultimate goal? Are you going to be happy even if you did get the success that you're working towards now with the Chariot? Even if you did have that big success moment, but you're working as a receptionist for someone else in a field that you're not even that interested in, and you get the big promotion and you get like the assistant position, but it's not even something you like, but you're just being like, you're just attacking it full force. So yeah, you'll succeed, but I mean, maybe it would be better to take yourself out of it for the moment and realign yourself with the right path. You know what I mean? Because there's no real point. It's kind of like, have you ever played a game with someone who's like weirdly competitive? Like, I'm not a competitive person at all, but sometimes someone's just being so competitive with you that you're like, okay, screw it. Like, yeah, I will compete. And then you can find yourself getting immersed in the game. And then afterwards, you're like, why did I even care? Like, about who won like musical chairs at some party, or who won a stupid drinking game. Like, it's literally the most irrelevant thing ever. But in that moment, you were like invested. You were like, I want to win. And, you know, no one cares that you won beer pong. But in that moment, you're going full force at it. And maybe it's better to take that moment to be like, is this what I want to spend my life doing? Or is there something better that makes my heart sing and makes me so happy? And this is a really deep reading for you guys. Like, honestly, because I feel like at first with the Chariot, the Strength card coming out, Page of Pentacles, you know, it doesn't look like super negative. Like, it looks like from the surface, like everything's great. But I really, you know, think for a lot of you guys, there's something in your subconscious that needs to be extricated and pulled out. And I see you guys like doing that work, you know? So maybe some of you guys could do a meditation about pulling up your childhood dreams, pulling up what really, really is your deepest desire. I think one of the best readings I ever had from a private astrologer, I was going for like really specific career advice, but they actually didn't give me it. And they were like, only you can, even I, master astrologer, can't see this in your chart. Only you can know what that is. And honestly though, that was one of the best readings I ever had, because it made me kind of think. And I think for a lot of you guys, you need to think about this. You need to actually do the work yourself of dredging it all up, taking it out and examining it. It's kind of like when they do that dredging of a lake or something. A lot of times they take out everything, right? They don't just look for like, oh, where's that thing that we were looking for? They take out it all and they lay it all out on the table. And then they pick up each item, see if it has any relevance, you know, because they never know. Sometimes they might find like a wallet that they're like, oh, that's a wallet. We're looking for XY item. That's not relevant, but it is relevant to the case, you know? So like, you never know. It might be something you're not expecting. It may be a surprise to you of like, you know, I kind of forgot about it, but when I was a little kid, I loved building construction. I would build blocks, everything I built. I would just spend all my time putting together Legos and putting together little block things and building little structures. And maybe, you know, that's something you should be doing as a career. Maybe you have a real talent in that. Maybe you spend all your time browsing Instagram interior design accounts, and maybe, you know, you have a future in that, you know. But this is about you doing that work of like, what is this? What is this thing that I'm drawn to, and how can I align myself better with it? And if you guys have already done that work and you already feel aligned, then this could just be confirmation that you're on that path. But it may be a different technique. Maybe you're not going to work so hard at it. You're going to let it flow more easily, because strength is kind of about taking the internal passive energy and directing it towards a cause. You know, the Chariot is about that raw strength, like directing your will, like I will make it happen. I don't care. But the Strength card is more about taking your interior self, you know, that deep emotion. That's why water is one of the most powerful cards or powerful elements, is because when you direct your emotions towards something, your unconscious, people think of that as kind of weak, but it's actually very powerful to achieve ends. That's why people manifest using their emotions and stuff. So, you know, it's kind of like they say of all the elements that water is the most powerful in that it can carve through rock, right? Like the Grand Canyon was made by water, you know? So even though it might not look like much, and you might see the Grand Canyon versus water and be like, oh, that's no match. Of course, that canyon built of solid rock is going to win. But, you know, that's why tsunamis or like a giant wave can be one of the biggest natural disasters, is like when the unconscious is fully harnessed and directed at something with full force, it's even more powerful. So that strength of will of just like, I'm going to get it done. Yes, we can succeed that way. But when we take the subconscious and figure out what truly our heart responds to, that's the major key. So let's get more cards. So we got perseverance, discipline, service reversed, empathy, and loneliness. So these were energies I pulled for. What are you leaving behind? And I do feel like some of you guys, it's like you're just taking a very disciplined attitude towards something, and you've just been kind of pushing at it, pushing at it, pushing. And I feel like they're saying, like, that's good. It's not that we want to be just apathetic and just like lazy, but sometimes we might question, like, what am I pushing at? Is this really for me? Like, I can look back on jobs I had that I was, again, like, I look back now, I'm like, why did I even care at all what, this coworker or this boss thought of me? Because I like, it's so irrelevant now. And also, just it wasn't even like that important at the job. Like, the job was not as big of a deal, but people get weirdly competitive and people want to win. And next thing you know, you're kind of like hustling too, trying to compete with them. And, Linda's staying late, an hour late. So you stay an hour late too, because you don't want to be the only one leaving the office. And like that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So we can get wrapped up in just like, I got to win this. And then it's like, if you pull your head out to like a bigger perspective, you're like, I don't even think this is serving my destiny at all. I'm just wrapped up in the day to day of like, okay, Linda got that done. Well, Deborah did this, and then Sam did this, and then Eric took care of this. And so I need to do this. And it's like, is this even the lane you want to be in? Is this even what you want to win at? You know how when you go up from like in a plane or on a high perspective, I always think it's so amazing how like that street you were on, or if you can find your house and it looks so small and you're like, oh, like now that I see that road from above, I didn't know it connected into there, and I didn't know it went through there. If I just, so I don't, I'll just keep going and it runs past like that river. Oh, that's really pretty. Maybe I'll keep walking next time. Like, there's so many things you don't see, and getting that aerial perspective of seeing from a little bit higher of a perspective can make us question, like, do I really like the neighborhood I live in? Is this really what I want to be a part of? Is this really the scene I'm feeling empowered by? Is this something that, sometimes, like, do I even want to win? Is the medal worth it? Am I fighting for a trophy that's like a cheap $2 trophy that someone picked up at the dollar store and is like painted gold and will flake off in like a week and look really janky, like in my room if I keep it up there, you know? I mean, maybe it means something to you to win that medal, period. And I get that. I had like I think I won, I was in like swim team, and I'm really bad at all sports, and I was allergic to chlorine. So it was like bad in the pool, but I finally won third or fourth place. And I like kept that like ribbon up for like years on my wall, because I was so proud of getting a third place ribbon. And if that's, if you really love what you're doing, then God bless and like keep doing it. But for some, like sometimes we can just get so wrapped up and like, I don't even like this. It's not my lane, but I just want to compete. I'm just trying to go against this person. So I think for some of you guys, it's made you kind of lonely. It's made you kind of overly, like, maybe you're unable to find time for other things. I'm not getting that message for everyone, but I almost feel like you might find something where you're being more of service, where you're serving your highest mission. You know what I mean? Because I think that like people have said, when you find what you love, you don't work a day in your life. And I think that's so true. Even if you're tired, when you're doing something that you truly feel serves your purpose, it's like, it's okay that I'm tired, and it's okay that I'm exhausted because I love it. And so when we feel like we're fulfilling our highest destiny in life, when we feel like we're doing something for others and giving something to the world that only we can give, our special gift, and we finally found it and unleashed it, that's like the most biggest rush, best payment ever. And it's way better than any money. But of course, we can also pursue money. I don't think there's anything wrong with pursuing money at all. But just to clarify, because again, the spiritual community can be weird about that. But it's that extra bonus that makes it all worth it. And so I feel like for you guys, maybe there's something where you'll be fulfilling your purpose and you will be truly invigorated and just giving so much of yourself and feeling connected to everyone with this empathy card coming out. Maybe you feel kind of disconnected in whatever you do, like you don't have friends at work, or they are weirdly competitive with you, or you have a group of friends, but they're not really your vibe. You know what I mean? Because I know for me, I've been in friend groups before where like I was super linked in to the friend group, and maybe there was always something to do and I really liked, we had fun, but it wasn't like I was on the same page with them as on such a deep emotional level and energetic level. And once I kind of stepped away from those relationships, it was like nothing really changed, and now more and more I find I can't realign myself with people that I used to be friends with, because it's like I've changed so much, and I care about so much different things. And so for some of you guys, maybe it's like this is your friend group, maybe you're friends with them, but like when you think about it, it's like, yeah, we really don't have much in common. And I don't know that they would miss me if I wasn't here. I don't know that they would care if I didn't show up to brunch, or I don't know if, we're just so different. And so sometimes you got to pull back and realign yourself with like what is really speaking to your heart, what your deepest intuition tells you, and accepting that things that are meant to end will end. So Six of Swords, maybe paddling away from it. And I just got a strong pain in my head. One of the fun things about being a medium is all the random pains you get during readings and stuff. But that represents the crown chakra. And as I'm talking about intuition, I got a pain in my head. And so for some of you guys, this might be tapping into your intuition, tapping into your crown chakra. Maybe you're blocking that part of yourself. Maybe you don't want to admit the truth about like, yeah, these people really aren't for me, or this career, you know what? It doesn't serve me in the way I want. And stepping away and then realigning, opening your crown chakra, because sometimes we can just get in that energy of denying it and not listening to the intuitions that come in. So let me get more cards. So we got Vigilance reversed, Stone People reverses, Wind activation reverse, Spring equinox rebirth, and Lake stillness. So I feel like this is changing, and it's like you've been in a very strong kind of hustler energy, like active energy, I feel. For some of you guys, like it's like you're pursuing something strong, you're putting your energy into this, you're going for it. And I think that's great, but it's almost like it's okay to chill and take a step back and question if this is what you want. To me, this card, stillness, that's where our intuition comes in. So sometimes when we're so busy working on something and we're hustling and we're running around, that can be a really positive energy to be in, sometimes. But sometimes it can take us out of our intuition, take us out from hearing that quiet little voice inside that wants us to direct us to the best path for ourselves. So I think for some of you guys, this is about being open to a rebirth, a shift, a change up, a switch up. Maybe taking your energy down a little bit. Maybe you've been in kind of vigilant, activated, like just pushing and just fire energy, trying to will something to happen and just like hustling. And now it's like, is this really what you want? And so just taking a little bit of an energetic step back from this for this moment. And you might be like, you know what? It's not actually what I want. And I don't really care that I want it. Like when I think about that, I did love, and that third place ribbon did mean a lot to me. But I mean, do I swim nowadays? No, it didn't really change anything for me. I was just glad that for once they gave medals to everyone. So I would always get the 6th place ribbon. And instead of that, I got the 3rd place. I was so happy. But do I swim professionally? No, I'm not Michael Phelps. So it's like, maybe this thing that you're fighting for, sure, you can be happy and proud of yourself. Like, I did earn this, but where can I better direct that energy? What's a better use of my time? What's the best, highest use of my special gifts and my special talents that God only gave to me for this purpose on this planet? You know what I mean? My purpose. Okay, other cards we got. Answering the call. Oh my God, I didn't know that came out. Wow. I forget these cards as I pull, and then I'm like, oh my God, that's just what I was talking about. View from above, get the big picture, and first light, beginning a new cycle. And as I was giving that metaphor, I was like, I think there's a card about that. And that's exactly what it is. It's like, pull up and look at your life from above. Look at your life as like, okay, when I was 5 years old, would I love what I'm doing? Now, when I'm 75 years old, am I going to love it? Like if I have because as a medium, like I will say that, people get a life review at the end of their life. They get to see whether they really did what they were supposed to do or not. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, sometimes they come through with regrets. Sometimes they come through apologizing. That's not infrequent. And so it's like, you're not going to be 100%, like you can end up on the other side with regrets and wishing you'd handled things different. And that's what we want to avoid, right? We want to get into a space where when we're on the other side, we're like, I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm so happy with myself. So this is where answering the call comes in, making sure that you are fulfilling your special destiny and your special purpose that, like I said, God only gave you. Only you can hear it. Only you can answer it. Sometimes when people ask for life destiny, Spirit will even block cards for me. And I realize that that's because, for the vast majority of questions, they never get blocked, but that one gets blocked a lot. And I even will tell people beforehand, like, I'll pull cards. Sometimes they come up, occasionally they do. I would say it's like 50-50, but some of the times they get blocked because it's like, maybe you have an inkling of it. Maybe you already know. And there's something so special about discovering it yourself, especially because I feel like then you're more committed to it. If I tell you like, hey, by the way, you're supposed to do this. Yeah, you can hear it. But when you hear it yourself and that's coming from the depths of your soul, it's going to mean that much more to you and you're going to be that much more committed. So I see you guys starting this new cycle with this. A lot of you guys stepping into this incredible destiny and purpose. And I'm excited for you guys. I know that some of you guys might be like, oh my God, this was a negative reading because it's saying you're leaving something behind that has to do with your career or whatever you guys are doing. I don't know what this is. It's a general reading, so it depends for everyone. But I see it as so positive. It's kind of like when you're driving down the wrong road, the sooner you can figure it out, like, oh, I got lost, took the wrong exit, whatever, the better, I remember one time I was driving across the country and I took the wrong exit, didn't realize it till like 2 hours in. And then luckily I could still get to the destination, but I had to loop down like 300, 400 miles out of the way. It took way longer. It actually wasn't that bad. It was like kind of a pretty drive, but I mean, I was not thrilled when I realized I had gone 2 hours out of the way, and I could either have driven back 2 hours, but it would have made the same difference. It was like a 4 hour addition. So it would have evened out. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want, I'll just keep going. So it was better to finish it out, but it took so much longer. And so the sooner we can look at that map and be like, oh my gosh, I missed it, I didn't calibrate it correctly, the better. It may be painful in that moment, but that's going to pay off so much more in the end. And I feel like in this pile, a lot of you guys have a special, important destiny. So figure out what it is and step towards it. So let me get some final astro dice for you guys. So we got Libra, we got the 5th house, and we got the sun. Oh my gosh. So much sun energy coming through for you guys. And as I mentioned, like the strength card does relate to Leo as well. So with the lion on it. So 5th house is really, in my opinion, it's about your interests. So some of your interests might be what's leading you to your destiny. Maybe it's something that you really enjoy, but you never would have thought you could monetize. And if you are thinking of something like this, like I've mentioned a million times before, in order to do spiritual work, you don't have to be a tarot reader or a medium or a psychic. You can be, I mentioned this, I love watching cooking videos. I find them very soothing. Those give me spiritual fulfillment and kind of make me feel rested and restored. So whatever your interest is, you can find a way to give it to others in a way that is beautiful and fulfills them and fulfills your destiny. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be just you're doing spiritual work. That's obviously spiritual. There can be healing that you give to others just by stepping into your destiny. And with the sun, it's like, don't be afraid to step into the limelight. Don't be afraid to step into your highest, best good. And if someone makes you feel bad about that, just know that's low vibrational energy of theirs. And with Libra coming in, that is about, first of all, it's ruled by Venus. So it's what you love. With Libra, that's an air sign. So I feel like you guys should think about what this is. You guys should think about stepping into what really brings you guys joy and finding what stirs your heart, stirs your soul, and moving into that. And I kind of associate Libra with like a quieter energy, even though it is an air sign, but they generally don't like confrontation and stuff. So just keep in mind that this voice inside of you telling you what to do, it might not come out super loud. It might not be this booming voice that we kind of imagine from like the Bible of like some angel came down and blasted with a trumpet. Sometimes it's that quiet little voice inside your head, deep down in your heart, telling you this is for you. So I feel like if you guys can do that, spend some time meditating or stepping into that, This would be so amazing. So I really hope that helped. Pile 2, let me know if it did in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. So let me know, give this video a big thumbs up if it did, and make sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications. And if you guys want to check out my Patreon, I post all my additional readings over there. So check that out. Link is in my bio for that. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, pile 3. So for your tarot, you guys got the Tower, 10 of Pentacles, 7 of Swords, the Star, 2 of Wands, and the Lovers. So with the Tower card coming out twice, I can see that this is going to be a major change for you, pile 3. And for some of you guys, it may have been something you've already been thinking about, already aware of, and possibly dreading or having late nights. Maybe it's on your mind like, oh my God, what's going to happen with this? How is this situation going to work out? And I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is something that is majorly ending and exiting from your life. And I want to talk about this Tower card because I feel like this is one of the most dreaded cards in tarot. And since it came out twice, we need to talk about what I'm getting. So in the Rider-Waite Tarot, it actually shows a lightning bolt coming out down from heaven and striking the tower, and then the tower burning down violently. And so a lot of people obviously fear that scene because it can be a kind of traumatic ending in life. However, when we think about the image of that lightning bolt, it literally comes from the heavens, right? And it's an act of God. That's why there's like a 1 in 3 million chance of being struck by lightning or whatever it is. It's coming from the sky, from, the celestial plane. And this is something that God has chosen to end in your life for a reason. So while it may be painful when it's burning down, it's supposed to happen that way. And then it's followed up literally in tarot by the Star. And you guys got it in that order during your reading. So it's showing that whatever is going to be cleared and burnt down, this tower that may look secure from the outside, but is capable of being burnt down with one bolt of lightning, right? Needs to go. And then it's cleared, and then we have this beautiful energy of the Star card, which also talks about drawing from the divine, because we have this image of the water flowing through, which is kind of like your connection to the divine, the other side, your spiritual side. So once this Tower card it burns down and the tower is removed, then we're able to access this really beautiful energy in our lives and feel more connected to the other side. So whatever needs to go, needs to go. I hope that makes sense. With the 10 of Pentacles coming in, for some of you guys, that can talk about an over preoccupation with material things, or even a job that affords us good material things. So like being focused on a job, but not paying attention to that spiritual side. On the, again, Rider-Waite deck, it shows someone, coming through with a lot of beautiful material items, but kind of talks about not paying attention to the beautiful everydayness of life, right? Like, yes, there's beautiful clothing to wear, there's beautiful items, but there's also the beauty of the sky, or of a bird chirping, or of, the way the sunlight reflects off a wall or something like that. And sometimes in a weird way, having more material items can take us away from being aware of the beauty and the magic and the miracles of being in life. I think, if you think about it, how many celebrities have talked about flying on a private jet but being completely miserable? And as much as we may judge them for that and maybe like rolling our eyes when we hear them talk about like, my life is so hard, think about how many of us who live in like the first world get upset about things, but we have something like running water. Like for thousands of years, people could only dream of running water. Even royalty, or the highest of the high, which was a very small group for all of human history, would have to have their servants run and heat up the water and bring it over. And you know what I mean? They couldn't even turn a knob and have hot water flow out endlessly. But the fact is, so many of us, we take hot showers every single day and we don't appreciate it. We fill up a soup pan with a lot of water and it doesn't even occur to us. We wash our hands a million times a day and it doesn't even run through our mind how exceptionally lucky we are to be alive at this time. And I only mention that to say, like, sometimes people can be judgmental of those celebrities and no one wants to hear, a multi-millionaire complaining. But it's like, I think so much of the time we can just get wrapped up in our daily life and we can miss how incredibly miraculous life is, just life on its own. I hope that all makes sense. And so the 10 of Pentacles can be a card that talks about needing to be more aware of like the miracles of life, of taking in those daily special things that happen, stopping to smell the roses. I think sometimes with the more material possessions we get, we can actually get removed from the extraordinary beauty of this world, the miracles that are all around us. If you think about it, when you have a nice air conditioned car to drive around in, you can just get in the habit of throwing your stuff in the car, taking off, driving away, and not even really thinking about it. And when you're forced to, like, maybe you don't have a car, you have to take the bus or you have to walk, and you have to go walk around the city, you're taking in like the smell of the roses outside someone's house, and the beautiful look of the sky that day, and the smell of spring coming in. And even though people might think that the person driving around in the Mercedes is way more successful, sometimes it can talk about needing to pause and actually appreciate the incredible, shocking, unbelievable, incandescent beauty that we are surrounded with in this world. So I feel like this message, I'm not sure because I'm getting conflicting stuff. We have the Lovers, we have the Ten of Pentacles, but for a lot of you guys, it might have to do with maybe something you're financially dreading. Maybe you're in a job that like makes a lot of money, but you don't really love it, and this is going to end, Or it could be a love situation that you guys have been holding on to a love and kind of reminiscing on this, but it's like we need to let it go so we can welcome in this Two of Cups energy, because this is what you're welcoming in. So this is what is coming in. This is all what is leaving. So I feel like with the new energy you guys are bringing in, you're going to be much more invigorated with life. With the Chariot coming in, that is an energy of a lot of strength, a lot of energy being directed towards something. And it's almost like whatever you guys are bringing in, you're going to be very invigorated by it. You're going to really love it. With the Two of Wands, that can talk about planning your future, setting your destiny. So for a lot of you guys, you might have been on a certain track heading towards something, but it doesn't really emotionally fulfill you in the way you want. And maybe this thing being cleared out of your life is going to prepare you for a life where you're a lot more fulfilled. So whatever this is, it may be something that you're not looking forward to it, and you might be dreading it, but it might be just the exact divine act that needs to happen to align you with the right path. With the Seven of Swords, it might have to do with someone who's dishonest with you, or even you being dishonest with others or yourself. So it might be something where you have a workplace that's really passive aggressive, and you kind of have to go in every day and be like, "Hi, Bob, how are you? Oh, I love that." But you're kind of forced to be in like a dishonest energy all the time. You know what I mean? Forced to kind of constantly smile and grin and bear it and pretend everything's fine. And technically, you really don't want that job to end. But maybe when it does end, you're going to be like, "Oh my God, this is so much better. And I found a job where I don't have to lie to Bob every day. I don't have to smile to clients and think about how much I hate my life while they talk to me. I can actually do a job I really, really, really love and I feel really invested in." I feel like you guys are aligning yourself with some kind of a partnership. It could be work, it could be romantic, where you're just going to enjoy it a lot more. But a big part of this is going to be going through this Tower moment, which I feel like a lot of you guys have been afraid of. So if there's been something kind of tugging at your consciousness, something that maybe you haven't wanted to acknowledge, or you're like, "No, it's going to work out. No, it's going to be fine. No, no, no. This is going to be okay." Be aware that if this does end, or however it ends, again, it's going to work for your greatest and highest good. It actually is a blessing, even though it may not seem that way right off the bat. And I feel like you guys are going to come out of this so much stronger than you were when you went into it, because there's no more of this lying. Almost like I feel like sometimes when there's something we want to deny in our lives, it kind of constantly pulls at our consciousness, right? And it takes effort for us to push it away, to deny it, to pretend like it's not happening. And that's kind of what the Tower card talks about, is like, maybe you had other opportunities to end this. Maybe Spirit was already putting that in your mind of like, you gotta go, you gotta end this, but you weren't wanting to. You were wanting to kind of keep hope alive and pretend everything was cool and pretend everything was good. And maybe, like I said, with the Seven of Swords, even lying to ourselves a little bit, trying to look on the bright side to a level that's kind of unhealthy. And so when we finally kind of drop that lying energy and we just let ourselves feel the depth of whatever Spirit is trying to tell us, that's when the magic really happens. And then we can step into like, what am I trying to run away from, and what could I run towards? What could I take my energy and direct it towards that's actually really positive and feels really aligned and feels really good for me. And I mentioned this before, but Teal Swan has talked about this canoe example where it's kind of like when there's a hole in our canoe, we can spend all this time trying to bail out the water, stay in that canoe, be like, no, this is my canoe. I've been in this canoe for a while. This canoe's fine. I love it. We'll just get this water out as it slowly gets more and more full and starts to sink. Or we can just kind of be like, oh, okay, there's a hole in this canoe, got to get out of here. And maybe we have enough time to even paddle towards shore, paddle to the dock and step gingerly off or switch into a new canoe. But the sooner we can kind of acknowledge what's going on and not just be in like a panic mode of like, this can't happen, it can't end like this, the better we can kind of reestablish, reassess, and be like, okay, these are my options. What am I going to do next? But I do feel like for a lot of you guys, this may be, like I said, leaving a situation that may look to others off the bat like, oh, you have a great, you're making a lot of money, or you're getting a lot of money, or you're in a good relationship. But for you, you're not fully happy, and you might not be fully stepped into your destiny with the star. Maybe there's something really special that you guys are supposed to be bringing this world. And you're not able to do that because of this situation. So let's get more cards. So we also got success, self-esteem, acceptance, denial, and relationships. So I almost feel like for some of you guys, you've had a lot of success in whatever this is. Maybe people look at you and they're like, wow, you did such a great job with this. Like, oh, aren't you so happy? But you're not happy on the inside. You're not actually enjoying it. Maybe this is something that might even give you self-esteem or give you esteem in the eyes of others. Like everyone else is really respects you because you're a lawyer or you're a doctor or one of those professions that just gets a lot of respect. You know what I mean? Maybe people have this idea of who you are that's based off of financial success or abundance or wealth or doing well or something like that. And people kind of think you have it all together. And there's this real fear that if this ends, that, things are going to be over for you, that everyone's going to look down at you and everyone's going to think you're an idiot. And I feel like part of this is accepting that and just being like, okay, if someone wouldn't want to be my friend because I lost my job, then they're not my friend and they never were. Sometimes the worst thing that happens, I had an event like that happen, I didn't lose a job or anything, but I had an event where like I thought people were my friend and just I kind of wasn't around as much, and a lot of those friendships just fell off so easily. And I was shocked because I really thought we were like super tight, but a lot of people that it was like, I realized that I didn't really mean anything to them. And that was one of the biggest blessings of my life because I had spent a lot of time trying to please them. I mean, not consciously, but, unconsciously, like I had spent a lot of time worrying about what they thought of me and like hoping, I think we all do that with certain social situations. Just like, I want to fit in. I want to get along with everyone. These are my friends. They really matter to me. And having that removed sometimes, as horrible as it can feel, and as much as you can feel lonely in that moment, it's like, this is so freeing. I don't have to worry about them disapproving of me. And if you ever have to be like, obviously, if you're doing some super dysfunctional, horrible behavior, then yeah, you probably have to worry about your friends. It's good for them to stand up to a certain point and be like, hey, this is totally off limits. Like, why are you doing this? But if you're afraid of your friends judging you for something stupid, like you wore an outfit from last season, or you disagree with them about something with, I don't know, religion or politics or something like that, then that's not really a friend. You know what I mean? Your true friends, you can really tell them anything. So if there's things that are going to end over such a small thing, then they're not really built on a solid foundation and they've got to go. So if you guys are afraid of like a loss of face or loss of public, status of some kind, I feel like it's like, if that is going to go, then recognize that that's a blessing. And it might be that you're taken out of one situation to prepare you for another. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of getting the image in my mind of like, maybe someone was like the star in the play at the local school they went to. Like maybe they were the star in their high school. Like maybe they got in every play. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're the star and they're always the main character and like, oh, they're such a good actor. And maybe they decide to leave school and they just disappear. And everyone's like, where did they go? Oh, I guess they fell off. I guess they're not doing so well. They used to be the star, but I haven't heard from them. But maybe it's not that they are just doing nothing. Maybe they ended up moving to LA, and maybe there's an initial loss of face. Like they were the big man on campus at their school. Everyone knew them. Everyone was like, they're a talented actor. And they moved to LA and they're a dime a dozen, right? Suddenly everyone's an actor. Everyone's trying to make it and no one knows about them. No one cares about them. So initially that could feel, if you just focus on like, wow, I had so much status and now I have none. It can feel really painful. But ultimately we can think of if they're going to follow through with that, if they're going to accept that change and be like, that's where I was and this is where I am now. So I went from everyone knowing me to no one knowing me. And they can be okay with that initial loss, then they can have so much more abundance in the end. And if they do have that talent, then being in a place where they can really showcase that talent, like LA, would be the move for them. So it's like sometimes we need to humble ourselves in the moment, or sometimes we need to take that initial L that might make us feel bad, look bad for a temporary period, to have the kind of blessings we want in the long term, and to also attract the right kinds of people. Because I do feel like relationships are a big theme here. So it might be that like, yeah, the people you're trying to impress, you're trying to surround yourself with. I don't know, I'm getting a message from for some of you guys, I just heard let go in my mind so strongly. Maybe some of you guys are trying to make relationships work with people that you have felt spirit called to you. Like this person is not really your advocate. Really, they're not on your side in the way you wish. Maybe there's people around you that kind of treat you bad at times. Like they might even, you know, they might have known you at a different time in your life and they still see you as that way, right? They still kind of look down on you in a way, or they think they're better than you in a certain way. But maybe you feel really connected to them and you're afraid of being alone. And this is about releasing this and being like, you know what? I deserve better. And they're just not in alignment with me. Maybe they're in alignment with something else. Maybe they're in alignment with another person that they'll really love, but they're just not in alignment with me anymore. So that kind of makes a lot of sense for what I'm getting. Maybe there's a certain glamour around them too. Like maybe there's these people have a lot of money, or they have a lot of status, or they have a lot of social clout in some way. And it's hard for you to leave it behind. Maybe people will be like, oh my God, you were friends with that person? Wow, you're crazy. Why did you stop being friends with them? Or something like that. Maybe there was a lot of perks to being friends with them, you know? But I feel like you guys know deep down that this has got to go. And I feel like the message is that you can align yourself with way better people and move forward way faster when you're not surrounding yourself with people that are kind of, I want to say, beneath your level. I know that may sound harsh, but I just mean spiritually speaking. Like maybe they are shady to you. Maybe you have aligned yourself with a much more authentic energy. And maybe you kind of have to lie and gaslight yourself to hang out with them, because you know deep down in your heart of hearts that like, this person isn't for me. And every time I hang out with them, I get a bad vibe. And every time I hang out with them, I feel drained of energy. But I'm going to still try to keep being friends with them because I'm afraid of being alone. You know what I mean? And I have this idea that like I have to be seen out with a certain friend group or something, or I don't know. But I feel like this is saying that like everything that is taken away from you will be replaced, you know? Because I think what's coming to mind so importantly is how the Tower card is always followed by the star. So we have this initial moment of loss that's always followed by blessings. I love the phrase, all rejection is a blessing. So I know it's really difficult, but I feel like almost the message is, it's finally clicking. The message for this pile is that any relationships you guys let go of are going to be replaced by something way better. And it's going to align you with this path. So let's get more cards. Okay. We got ocean, ebb and flow, new moon, promise, dance, celebration, clouds, shape-shifting, and cave, sanctuary. I'm almost feeling that a lot of you guys are coming out of this sanctuary. Like maybe for a long time you had to kind of crawl in here for survival. You had to go and find this sanctuary, like you were kind of lost and you didn't feel as strong and you had to kind of hide away with whatever this is. Like, I got to get in here. Okay, these people will help me or take care of me. And it's almost like you've outgrown it. You know what I mean? You deserve something a lot better now. And I feel like a message that's coming through for a lot of you guys is that with clouds shapeshifting, like, life changes and you can be really happy about one stage in your life, and also acknowledge that it's over, and also acknowledge that something else is coming in, and that whatever you had in the past doesn't look the same. Because when you stare up at the sky for like an hour, you realize that, like, the sky constantly is changing, and it never looks the same after an hour than it did an hour before. And it's never going to look exactly like that with that exact cloud formation ever again, right? So, but each of them is just as beautiful. So I feel like it's like knowing that the clouds that drift by, the clouds that shift, the clouds that change are a good thing. And there's dance, celebration, new moon, promise. So I feel like this is a reminder that Spirit is promising you guys that if there is something you have to let go, it's a positive. When you talk about like moon energy, new moon is when you bring in new things. Full moon is when you release the past. And that's the cycle of the moon. Is the full moon, aka the release, is always followed by the new moon. It's not right away. There is a period when, you're really letting go. That moon is ebbing away more and more each day. But then it goes completely dark, and then we have the new moon. And so for you guys, it's like, yeah, this may feel really painful. Like, there may be relationships that you're giving up that you've known the person for 20 years, or a job that you've been in for a really long time, or a family relationship that, you obviously grew up with them. But it's like, you hear it, that you need to let go of it, that it's time to just release. And I feel like you need to listen to that, and the message with ebb and flow is saying that, it also relates to moon energy, but it's like, the tides go in and the tides go out. You would never see a wave leave and, see the wave, the water kind of seep out back into the sea and just start running around screaming and being like, oh my God, the water's gone. It's never coming back. It's gone forever. Oh my God, there's no water. You know what I mean? You'd look like a clown if you did that on a beach. You'd look bizarre and like crazy, but, because everyone knows once the water seeps out, it's going to flow right back. So that's how we have to approach life, because so much of the time we can get stuck down into the details of like, I can't believe this is leaving. This is horrible. And that's how you can get stuck in life. And like, I don't know why this keeps coming up, because I mentioned it for pile one, but one of the only TV shows I watch is the show Hoarders, or Hoarding Buried Alive. And I'm just so fascinated by the psychology of it. And I think what's so interesting is a lot of people in the show, they just kind of get stuck. Something traumatic happens, or something happens, or maybe it's just childhood stuff that kind of comes up and is insurmountable. But either way, they get very stuck in a certain energy, and they literally get stuck with their possessions. They get so attached to like an old broken Monopoly board that they end up, piling trash up around their house in giant piles that it makes their house basically unusable, because they're so afraid of letting go of like a $13 cheap vase that they got from the dollar store in 1982 or whatever, that they end up destroying like a house that's probably worth 500,000 or whatever, I don't know what all the houses are worth, but I mean, it's a house, so it's worth a lot more money than a cheap old broken vase. And they become so obsessed with not wanting to let go of those items that they refuse to let it go, and they end up destroying the whole house in the process, right? And some of them get evicted, become homeless. I mean, not most of them, they get like support from the show. That's why usually it's a somewhat happy ending, but sometimes it happens like where it's too bad of it's just too horrible for them to clean it out, and the person has to like have their situation switched up or something. And so that's why it's really important to pivot when something gets taken away, accepting it and understanding it and being like, okay, I lost this, so what else can I bring in? You know what I mean? I lost that was supposed to like work out, but it didn't. So what's next? So it is what it is. I'm not going to sit and cry about it. I'm just going to move on and see what Spirit wants me to step into. One of my favorite sayings is, everything is happening for my greatest and highest good. So knowing that all the things that Spirit brings into our life is to benefit us, is to make us grow and learn and reach our highest, best good, then we can't be upset. We'd be celebrating all the time. We'd be so joyous. And that's what the Ten of Pentacles can talk about, is getting so overwhelmed with like life and what's going on and the minutia of the details that we don't even notice with the beauty of life going around in us. You know what I mean? Like think of, I love like going to like historical sites like Colonial Williamsburg or like in Rome. I love history, so it's really interesting to me. So anything like that I'm interested in. And it's so funny because I'll get like so jazzed. And I feel like all history people are like this, where it's like, oh my God, an old piece of a pottery from 1872. Oh my God. Or, oh wow, like they used to bake bread with this thing back in 1645. Oh my God. And it's like, think of how many things we have around us that we don't even take, you know what I mean? We just totally take for granted. And I can say, as a medium who does medium work, that so if you guys want to book a session, you always can, link in my bio. But that, there are so many people on the other side that like they would love to be on this side. Sometimes you have crazy spirits coming and trying to like find a body to re-enter, because it's like they're so upset that they passed to the other side. It's a miracle just to be alive, just to be in a body and present and conscious and like experiencing the joy of being able to taste and dance and breathe air. Honestly, it's a privilege. Like I can say that there's lots of spirits that are like wishing that they had another chance, wishing that they had another minute, another hour, another year. You know what I mean? And we just go through life so taking things for granted. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not like scolding you guys, but I just feel like whatever this changes, it's going to really free you guys. And also you need to take stock of some of these people or some of these things, because they're not giving you the joy that you thought they would. And I also feel like it's time to clear them out so you can really have the kind of life you guys want, that I think it's going to be a lot more fulfilling, and it may be even more wealth and abundance, honestly. So we also got wandering path, enjoy the journey, vast vistas, expand your horizons, embracing enthusiasm, shout to the heavens with happiness, and clear the past, heal the present, rejuvenating rain. So again, with this metaphor of like the tower burning everything down, it seems bad, but it's good. Same with rain. Like rain seems horrible. A lot of people hate rain. I love it. But I have like a petrichor, which is a scent after rain perfume. I love the smell of rain, but to each their own. But I mean, rain is how we grow green things. It's how we have like the smell of dirt after the storm and the beautiful rainbow and like the clear skies. And like when I lived in LA, it's so funny because it's so smoggy most of the time. You can barely see downtown. My apartment had a great view of downtown, but a lot of the time you could kind of make it out. It wasn't that pretty. And then after the rain, it was like completely clear. And you could just see all the details of the skyscrapers and the mountains behind it. And it was so incredibly beautiful. So know that things like, something like rain that may seem negative, like, oh God, it's raining on me, I'm so upset. Oh my God, I didn't wear the clothes for this. Or we can be like, it's freaking raining and it's freaking beautiful and it smells so good. And oh my gosh, this is such a gift and this is such a joy. So I feel like the message is enjoy the journey. Let this, whatever this is, because they're not telling me specifically what this is, but it's a general reading, so it doesn't surprise me. But this is something you guys need to welcome this change. And honestly, you could try shouting to the heavens with happiness and just being like ecstatic about the change and just being like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I feel like this is such a blessing for you guys. And it's going to like expand, like all this is expansion for you. It is not limitation. It may feel like limitation in the moment. It may feel like, oh wow, this really stinks. And like, I wanted this, it didn't happen and everything's being limited, but it's actually such a blessing. And you guys are going to come out of it with so much more, possibly a love relationship with the Two of Cups. So I hope this helped pile 3. Let me know if it did in the comments, and make sure to give this reading a big thumbs up if it did as well. If you want to check out my Patreon, I post my additional readings over there. So definitely check that out if you want to join us and get more clarity, guidance over there. And if you want to see more of my readings, make sure to subscribe over here and turn on those notifications. I'm sending you guys so much love and light from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, pile 4. So for your tarot, you guys got the Knight of Swords, 4 of Wands, the Fool, Six of Swords reversed, Knight of Wands, and the Magician. So I feel like for some of you guys, you have been pursuing a task and there is going to be a change in how you guys approach it because you guys have the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands in particular can talk about being kind of overly enthusiastic or overly optimistic about something. Kind of like that person that's like, hey, I'm going to open this business and it's going to be making $1 million within the first 2 months and it's going to be setting records. And maybe it's like they do have the potential to build that into a business, but maybe it's going to take 2 years to reach that point, and maybe that's okay. That doesn't mean it's a failure. That doesn't mean it's not supposed to happen. It just, maybe it's taking a little bit longer than you realize. And having that knowledge of like, sure, it might not happen overnight for me is a really positive thing. The Magician is the master manifester. And with that ending that pull, I feel like the message is you guys are really going to refine how you manifest this. The Magician is a really interesting card in tarot. And one thing that's kind of coming through as important for this is that the Magician actually shows in the Rider-Waite, one hand extended to the heaven to bring in energy, to connect with divine energy, but the other hand is pointed at the ground to ground energy. So it's this kind of acknowledgement that energy is not just kind of one way. And by that I mean we're not supposed to just bring in energy or direct energy. We're also supposed to clear energy from us, make sure to ground ourselves, make sure to get rid of energy. We're not supposed to just be containing spiritual energy around us at all times and never clearing it from ourselves. So all that to say is that I feel like there's a lot of nuances once you're learning to manifest. There's a lot of things that people think like, oh, they discover how to manifest and they're like, I'm going to bring this in overnight. And it's kind of like, there's just little things you guys might have to shift or change or learn to kind of perfect around this. I almost feel like there's an energy that some of you guys in this pile might have an expectation of like it has to happen really fast, it has to happen now, and it's going to happen right away. And it's kind of like it's okay to absorb yourself in the world in the process. We don't have to be so focused on a manifestation coming in that we don't take the time out to go stop and smell the roses or appreciate the beauty of the world, or to just spend time on our emotional center. So sometimes we can be so focused on a cause or on a goal that we've set for ourselves that we're not paying attention to like, how am I actually feeling? What am I doing? Like, we're not just supposed to be spending time engaged in magical energy all the time. That's why the Magician learns to ground. We're also supposed to be staying somewhat down to earth. We're supposed to be existing not just on the astral plane, but on the human plane as well. So I just feel like there's a message for some of you guys that you're going to change your perspective about whatever this is. And maybe it's going to happen a little differently than you guys thought. Like maybe you thought that you were going to open a company and it's, you're selling one product and then you make a tiny little line of something else and then everyone loves that and they go with that. Or maybe you thought again that it was going to happen on a certain timeline and it takes a little bit longer. But either way, I feel like it's like I'm hearing the journey is the destination or something like that. So it's like this process in the middle of making it happen. I feel like the message is enjoy it while it's happening. And the Knight of Cups is a Knight card that is going to be your future energy. So this is your past energy. This is your kind of what you're bringing in. So with the Knight of Cups, the Cups energy is obviously emotions. And I almost feel like there might be something where maybe you guys are pushing yourselves really hard with the Knight of Swords, because it's a sword card that can be pursuing something and being very unafraid of conflict or even seeking out conflict. Kind of like, I got to fight my way into this. I got to make it happen. I'm going to get this. I'm going to do that. Like, I'm going to go after it. And the Knight of Wands is a lot of energy. It's like it's going to happen fast, but sometimes they can run out of energy because they are pushing themselves so hard. The Knight of Cups is a little bit more balanced with that, and because the Knight of Cups can be have its lower vibrational side as well. But for me, with this being your future energy, what's coming in is that you guys really have mastered how to kind of pour your emotions in this, keep yourself in a good emotional state and with a good perspective. So it's kind of like if initially something doesn't work out exactly how you sketched out in your mind, that's okay. That doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean it's never going to happen. That doesn't mean that, okay, we didn't make it happen in 2 weeks, so now it's done. It can never happen again. Maybe you could make it happen in 2 months. Maybe you could make it happen in 2 weeks and a day. But maybe just this deadline you guys have set for yourself, or this idea that it should happen instantly, is gonna be a little different than what you guys thought. So I feel like there's this emphasis on, like I said, grounding yourself and also taking part in the world, also enjoying yourself. I can see with the Nine of Cups here, maybe you guys haven't been really enjoying life. Maybe you haven't been taking the time out to see your friends or to indulge in kind of the little delights that make up life, right? Like maybe you're so committed to your fitness routine that you never taste chocolate. And maybe you love chocolate. And maybe once in a while, it's okay for you to go out, get some. I eat chocolate that is like no added, like, I don't know if you guys have it like who, and it's more of a healthy chocolate. So I'm not saying you guys have to go out and consume a bunch of GMOs if you're not into that. I would never say that. But maybe, there's a way for you guys to indulge a little bit and have both sides of your life fulfilled. Because I'm just getting a message that this, again, it might take a little longer than you thought. And with so many Knight cards coming through, that can be that energy that is kind of, again, doesn't have the balance of knowing that, like, the Knight can be so rushed, so in a hurry, like it needs to happen right now. It needs to happen in this instant. And if it doesn't happen now, then it's not going to happen, and very impatient. And I feel like there's a message that you're going to be leaving that behind. Things are going to take a little longer than you guys thought, but I feel like you guys reassess, some of you guys also, how you're going about this. So whatever goal this is, maybe there's something you could tweak about it. Maybe you went in with a lot of energy, but it's like, it's okay to kind of humble yourself and question, like, is there something I'm doing wrong that I could adjust to get the kind of success I want? Do people respond better to this aspect of it than that aspect? Okay, as long as I'm not compromising myself, then maybe I can do that more. You know what I mean? Just little tweaks and little changes that I feel like you guys could be open to, where you're kind of reassessing, you're kind of taking it in and seeing, what you could switch up and what you could look at in a different way. But, with the Fool card coming in, that's all about new beginnings. That's all about freshness. So I almost feel like one thing that they're saying is like, just be open, because I feel like there's a message for a lot of the cards today about the beauty of life, about making sure you guys actually take the time out to go outside, to enjoy things, to taste flavors, to appreciate life, and also to open yourself to what spirit might give you in terms of guidance to how to switch and change things up. Because I feel like sometimes so many of us, we can just become stuck in a rut of like doing things a certain way, or working all the time and not going outside, right? And not welcoming in spring, or just eating the same meal every night because it's like healthy and we don't actually even enjoy it or taste the flavor, and we're just shoveling it in, or doing the same kind of work even though it's not really getting the best results, but we know how to do it like the back of our hand. And sometimes those moments when we kind of realize like, I could be doing this a lot better, it's really painful, right? That's never a fun moment, like sitting through and realizing like, geez, I really been messing this up, and I should have changed this a long time ago. That's always painful. And so I can see with the Six of Swords reversed, there may be a little bit of resistance to that. And you might be like, I don't really want to change this. Like I wanted it to work out that way. But I just feel like when you guys make these changes, you're going to be a lot happier. And I feel like whatever you leave behind, again, I'm just getting, for some of you guys, this is time. This is you guys trying to bring in a manifestation, and it's just like, it's gonna take time. It is gonna happen, but it's gonna take time. You are on the right path, but it's gonna take time. So stop rushing yourself. Stop thinking that things need to happen at the click of a finger. Or I think so much of the time we can have, things in the media of like the overachiever child that like accomplishes, like graduates college at the age of 14, or like does something amazing at the age of 17, or or just in general, like the random person that does things in 3 weeks. And so then we set that as a standard for ourselves rather than acknowledging that like a bunch of people did it in a longer time and that there's more than one path to that and everyone has their different routes. A lot of people can get hung up on like the timing, and that it needs to come through right away and get very impatient, because I feel like there's a lot of impatient energy here in this reading. So I feel like the message is just kind of like take a breath and be open. That I think one of the things that happens a lot with delays is sometimes that's being perfected. Kind of like, maybe it's like I'm seeing an image of like someone who's stuck in traffic and they have nothing else to do. So they end up getting out of their car and checking all the tire pressure or something like that. I know nothing about cars, but you know what I mean? And maybe they find out that like, oh, the back tire is kind of flat. Let me like pump that up with some air. Or maybe instead of checking their tire, they're like me and they carry books with them in their car in case they, get stuck somewhere. And maybe they would end up reading a book and be like, this is amazing. The number of times I have read books that I didn't really want to read, but I was bored and I was like, well, this is laying around. I'll just open this. And I was like, I love this book. It's so good, So sometimes those delays are for a reason. And sometimes there's something that needs to be tweaked, changed, that if we got what we wanted right away, we wouldn't be willing to like adjust it. We'd be like, no, this is working fine. I'm not going to fix this. This is good. No. We don't need to switch it up. But maybe it could be even better and there's something else Spirit has for us in a different way and we haven't quite figured it out yet. And it's through the kind of what may seem like a failure in the moment because it's not happening the way we envisioned, that makes us go in and tweak it and make a little bit of an adjustment or switch this up here or change that. And that's the major key that gives us a huge breakthrough, right? Because sometimes, like I said, if something's kind of just working out for you, you just keep doing it. You're just like, well, that's fine. We all know that person that like just orders the exact same thing at the restaurant every time. That's me at pizza restaurants because like pepperoni is my favorite. So I just always order pepperoni, to be honest. And I make no apologies for that. But recently, I've been going to this local pizza place that has gluten-free pizza and getting this burrata pizza with like arugula, burrata. And it's like a white pizza, which I would never order. I never like white pizza, but it is seriously so good. And my point is that sometimes, again, the only reason I ordered that was because they didn't have pepperoni on the menu. Like, I don't know why, but I guess, some of the fancy places, they're like, we don't serve pepperoni. So anyway, I ordered it. I was like, I like burrata. Okay, I'll get this. I like arugula. And it's like amazing. And everyone I've taken to that restaurant, they're like, this is like one of the best pizzas ever. And it's gluten-free, which is crazy because most gluten-free pizza is not that good compared to regular pizza. But my point is that sometimes it's those initial kind of disappointments like, dang, I wanted pepperoni. Okay, they don't have pepperoni. Okay, what else can I do? That leads us to the end result and makes us happier than we realized. So sometimes I think God will delay things or make the timing thrown off so that we make the tweaks and changes that we need to make, right? So that maybe we're not ready for that moment yet, right? Maybe we're not ready for the promotion that we want so badly. Maybe we're like, I want to become CEO of this office. I thought I was supposed to be there already, or whatever position. And maybe it feels like a total L. Maybe we told everyone like, yeah, I think they're lining me up for CEO position or something like that. And then it's embarrassing to be like, no, I didn't get it. Yeah, no, I didn't. But maybe we weren't ready for that. And it was going to be like a crash and burn catastrophe. Like sometimes, you see those think pieces or exposés on certain CEOs where it's like horrible, toxic work environment. And maybe you would have inadvertently created that had you stepped into that role at a really young and immature age. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not saying that you guys would have done that, but I'm just saying sometimes something that's a delay or doesn't come through right initially is supposed to happen because you guys got a lot of knight cards. So the knights are that more inexperienced energy. Like the king is more very knowledgeable. So is the queen, knows how to do it, knows how to have that balance. The knight is just that unbridled enthusiasm. So for some of you guys, it's like, we love the enthusiasm, but we can learn to adjust certain things. We can learn to tweak it. We can get this experience and then just do it a lot better. So yeah, let me get some more cards for you guys. So we got doubt, courage, perseverance, empathy, patience, and health. So they're literally saying perseverance and patience and courage. So it's like, yeah, like this maybe it's not happening just like you thought. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen, because I think this is a call for a little perseverance and just waiting. And I love the message on that. It says patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. And I think that's something that sometimes we get in our heads about, is like, when it's not happening the way we thought, we're like, oh, so God isn't here. So he left the building. He's not helping. He's not even doing anything for me. Like, when I think about the things that have happened in divine timing in my life, I'll be honest, every time I've gotten impatient, every time I'm like, oh my God, my guides aren't even working for me. And, I can get, mouthy with them sometimes. And so I'll be like, why aren't you guys doing anything? This is crazy. I've been doing everything you guys said. Sometimes when you have just that like rough night or something and you vent to your guides, if you're a crazy person like me who talks loud to your guides, then, you find yourself in that place where you're just frustrated with the timing. But it's like, whenever I've been in that energy where I'm just like, why is this not happening? It's like, when it happens, I'm like, this was the most perfect timing I've ever seen in my life. And if it had been a fraction off, or a fraction earlier, a fraction later, it would not have happened the same way. So don't let it make you doubt. That's another thing, is sometimes when I think I want to make a distinction between, like, you want to be able to make sure you're reassessing. Like, if you feel like your guides are sending you a message of like, you do need to switch this up, you need to tweak that, then go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? And be aware of the messages you're getting about something that you could improve or something you should switch. But don't let it make you go into a place of complete doubt, or like, it's never going to happen, or like, this wasn't for me. If you know something is for you in your deepest heart of hearts, and that's something that only you can decide. Only you can know the messages you get directly from spirit, from your guide, from your ancestors. So only you should be paying attention to that. But if you know you're aligned divinely with your path, then it's not to say start doubting, like, oh, it's never going to happen. Oh, it's going to be really horrible. Like I said, with the Knight of Cups, that's about like getting yourself emotionally in a good place for that too. Aligning yourself with that emotionally. And I feel like that's something that I'm also getting, with the Magician, is like, expecting it, aligning yourself, getting yourself ready for the energy, putting yourself in a good place emotionally, where you're emotionally stable and capable of handling whatever blessing that is, and then moving towards it and letting spirit handle the rest, not stressing out over every single detail, or like, why didn't it happen like this, or it was supposed to look like that, or I don't understand why this person. It's all supposed to happen that way. As I always say to myself, everything happens for my greatest and highest good. So if something isn't working out, it's not supposed to work out. I mean, I always think of stories like where, you'll hear crazy stories like a bridge collapsed, and, miraculously there was very few people underneath it or whatever. And you must imagine that some of those people, though, who weren't under the bridge at that time, maybe they sped through, a minute earlier and they never even heard about the bridge collapsing. Or maybe, they ended up getting stuck in the traffic jam from the bridge, and they never realized from the bridge collapse, because obviously traffic has stopped, and they're like, oh great, now I'm getting rerouted. Oh my God, it's the worst day ever. And really they were being saved from that, and they're probably feeling negative about it. We can never know or think about how many kind of near misses we have. I guess, like, how many car accidents we could have been in if something wasn't working out, and maybe it feels really unpleasant, like, oh, I have to hit that red light. Oh my God, I have to be stuck behind this crazy driver. But it's protecting you from something that could have been catastrophic. So I'm not trying to make you guys scared like something catastrophic would have happened, but I just feel like it's like, if you guys are getting impatient with this, know that this is divine timing. And I feel like with the Fool, it's like, be open to taking a different look at this, to looking at it from a different perspective. Because whenever we get stuck in an old way of being very stuck in our ways, always expecting a certain thing to turn out a certain way, most of the time, I think the most successful people, they're always adapting, they're always growing, they're always keeping up on, oh, this looks cool and different, and this thing's new, and I bet that's, and it's not to say we like change with the wind, and like someone's like, oh, this style's back in fashion, and we throw out our whole wardrobe and just dress that way, forever. or dress that way for the next 2 months and then just change it again. It's not to say that, we have no tastes of our own, but to be open of like, yeah, I like that. And maybe I could tweak that. And this is something that they're telling me I would be good at. So let me try that. So yeah. So we also got ancestors, generations, dawn, new beginnings, summer solstice, radiant, and cave sanctuary. And you know what's coming to mind with the cave? Because that actually came up with another pile. And I was like, you guys went into this cave for some reason, or like this sanctuary to protect yourself, and you don't need it anymore. You outgrew it. And that's what is coming to mind, though. It's kind of like we go into the sanctuary at the right time, right? And then we leave it at the right time. Like when you see cave sanctuary, this guy's probably not moving in here. He's not taking like a U-Haul and all his furniture and moving in permanently. But for a night or for whatever amount of time, he's in the cave, the sanctuary, kind of hiding out, waiting, chilling. And I think sometimes when our guides are, or our ancestors are taking care of things for us, it's kind of like they'll put us in a little cave and we don't know what the heck's going on. We're like, why am I stuck in here? What is this? When is it going to change? When is it going to switch up? You promised me these new beginnings. I saw this beautiful sun vision, and now I'm stuck in this cave and it's horrible and it smells bad and like there's no light at all and you're punishing me and I'm doing something bad. So I feel like the thing you guys are leaving in the past is this kind of impatience or this immature idea you had that things were going to happen quickly or in a certain way. And now it's like, oh, it's going to take a little bit longer. And that's okay, because it's like when you're in that cave or sanctuary, you're in it for a reason. You're being protected. You're kind of being stashed in there. And then they'll kind of come pull you out at the right time. Like sometimes when you have like a valuable item, and maybe you have like, I don't know, someone coming over that you don't know that well or something. And maybe you usually would put it out, but you're like, oh, let me just go put this in a drawer, in the back of a drawer or something, like, because you don't really know them that well or whatever, you know what I mean? And you're not going to leave it in there forever, but you're just going to stash it away for the moment while the people come in, and then you'll pull it back out when they're gone. You know what I mean? So I feel like some of you guys right now, you're really questioning your guides. You're asking why they haven't made certain things happen. And they really want you to know that they're right there with you, that they are making this thing happen, but it's with divine timing. And you are going to have a new, fresh beginning. And with the sun, summer solstice, but it looks like the sun card to me, you guys are going to have major blessings with this. If you guys have been doubting, like maybe it's not going to happen, it's not that great for me, my life is just kind of lame, I just feel like you guys should know I'm feeling this huge burst of encouragement that they want you to be on your path. I feel like you guys, and I just looked down at my clock and it was 2222. It was 2222. So more angel numbers and confirmation from spirit that, yeah, this is divinely appointed. This is divine timing. This is going to be a huge, amazing blessing for you guys. I feel like you guys are going to achieve your dreams in this pile. I feel like if you have been having something on your mind that you're like, I really, really want this to happen, it will. But maybe, like I said, timing's different. And it's just timing. You know what I mean? Like if I told you, like, okay, so I know I gave you the recipe for that cake, but I kind of messed up the instructions. And so, by the way, just keep it in the oven an extra 10 minutes. You wouldn't like have a meltdown. Like if you, obviously in this scenario, I'd given you a cake recipe for some reason. You wouldn't have a meltdown and start throwing things around the kitchen and take the cake out and throw it on the floor and be like, I'm never going to have cake. It's an extra 10 minutes, so it's never going to happen. This is a lot. You would just be like, oh, okay, 10 more minutes in the oven. Okay, cool. And it would make literally no difference to you. You'd just be like, oh, thanks for telling me. I wouldn't want to eat raw cake anyway, right? So you'd be like, fine with it. Like, oh, great. So now it'll come out fully cooked. It'll be correct. And that's okay that I thought the timing was different, but that's fine. Maybe you're a little disappointed in the moment because you were like, oh, I wanted to eat it really soon. And it's an extra 10 minutes, so it'll take longer to cool, but mostly you'd be perfectly fine with it. And I feel like, it's like our guides don't have as much of a rush energy anyway. Like most of the time on the other side, their conception of time is very different. So they don't feel the need that like, it's got to happen right now. It's got to happen in 5 minutes. I feel like most of us, if we look back to ourselves as like a teenager, there were things that we thought needed to happen like right away and we would panic. Like if I don't get a car on my 16th birthday, I'm never going to have a car. I need to drive up. All my friends are getting cars or something. You know what I mean? And it seems almost absurd in retrospect. Like, it's like, is this a joke? Why was I ever thinking that? By the way, I never thought that, but I'm just saying as a hypothetical, you know what I mean? Or there were people, I remember like the time when everyone was getting their permit and their license was such a big deal. And if someone failed for the permit, everyone would talk about it and be like, yeah, she failed the test. She didn't get her license. Like, it was like the biggest crisis in the world. And now obviously no one cares, you know? So it's like, just because something doesn't happen right away, it's so short-sighted to think it's not coming in. I feel like you guys are going to have these huge blessings. So we got overcoming obstacles. You can overcome anything. Distant thunder, clear the air. Choosing your path, all is possible, and transformation, a fresh new way of living emerges. So for a lot of you guys, this is going to change your lifestyle or be a beautiful new way of living. If you guys have been trying to make things happen, it is possible. You can make it happen. You can overcome anything. So don't take a temporary setback. Don't be like overly pessimistic and turn into the bad vibration of the Knight of Swords. It's kind of like being, you know, like it's not going to happen, or getting bogged down into tiny little fights. Keep your eyes on the prize and on the big picture. And I want to get some astro dice for pile 4. So we got Capricorn, okay, Mercury, and we got the second house. Why am I not surprised? We got Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, aka the planet of hard work and difficulty. So yeah, you guys might be facing difficulties right now, but I really feel like it's going to pay off so much. We got the second house. That is the house of abundance, of wealth, of luxury. It's ruled by Taurus. It's also love. So, I mean, if you want that, that's coming in too. But like, Saturn isn't an easy energy that just happens super quick and just flows like, you know, like it's nothing. Like, Saturn is difficulty, it's hardship, it's having to push through and struggle through, but it blesses us hugely in the end. So yeah, like, I don't even think you guys are going to have a ton of obstacles necessarily. I feel like the main message in this is timing and just keeping at it and just knowing that it will happen and you're going to get paid off. But maybe you can switch something about it, or there's something you can change, transform with it that's going to be better. So keep your eyes open to those possibilities. With Mercury, that rules communication. It also rules thinking, thought, and all those things. So it also relates to Virgo and Gemini. So you guys might be those signs, but I really feel like you guys might get thoughts about things you can tweak, things you can change. And I feel like the message is just be open, and be open that it might not happen on your timeline. You know, it's okay to be a little bit patient with this, because it is going to come through. But I do see, it's like, maybe some of you guys, again, with the Magician card, you might need to ground a little bit more. You might need to actually spend time in nature, or chill a little bit more, or get yourself more aligned with a more peaceful energy, not so much wand energy, and not so much of being in a rush, like it needs to happen now, and more like grounded. It's okay if it happens later. That's okay. We're calm, we're peaceful, we welcome in the blessings, and we're not rushing and panicking. I don't know if you've ever been around someone that's like in a panic. I'm sure you guys have, but you know, when someone's just like, bring it, did you bring that? Yeah, it needs to happen now. No, make sure you bring, and it's like the most stressful thing ever. Like, I hate when someone's in that energy. It just almost makes me shut down, because I'm like, can you just please take deep breaths and calm down? Because I'm a Cap Mars and I just don't move that fast. And I'm just like, you need to really calm down, because this is stressing me out on 10. And it's so pointless, because it's like, now it's taking even more time, because everyone's forgetting, because everyone's stressed and they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off, and they're forgetting stuff. And if we just calm, take a breath, and know that it's going to happen, then it will happen way better. So I hope that resonated with you guys. Let me know if it did in the comments, and make sure to give this reading a big thumbs up as well. And if you want to check out my additional readings, you can check out my Patreon, where I post extra readings. And if you want to subscribe over here, I post my videos over here. So make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on. I'm sending you guys so much love and light, and I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time.